What's up, folks? So this is a series that I've wanted to do for a while, where I basically just kind of unscripted talk about some of the games that are important to me. I already dropped that word, unscripted. Pretty self-explanatory. I have no script. I'm just rambling. That said, there may be some ums and uhs, and also I'm not going to be able to really moderate my speech on the fly. So while I usually try to keep profanity out of any of these kind of videos that I do, I can't really make any promises in regards to this series. Things I'd like to make notes of before I really get started here. Number one is that I know my mic quality is not the best. I've gotten a couple of comments on a couple of my videos saying, "Hey, I really like your stuff, but you sound like shit." Um, I know. If you would like to buy me a new mic, then great, please do that. But it's not something that's in my budget right now, and I don't mean to be smart with you in responding that way. But it's really not something I can afford at the moment. But just working with what I have. Secondly, I want to make note of my inspirations here for this. Pretty much completely ripped this idea in a way from another channel that I follow called TV and Lust. Really cool channel. He has a series called Context Matters where he kind of talks about the same thing. And he has a quote that he uses in it, which is, "Our favorite games don't exist in a vacuum." And I think that's very much true. Games are just like any other form of media art. They come out at specific times in our lives, or we experience them at particular times in our lives, and they stick with us and teach us things, and we look back on them fondly the same way we do movies or music. And that's really what I want people to get out of this series, and that's really what it's entirely about, is just me going over my memories of a particular game, what was going on in my life at that particular time, why it stuck with me, that kind of thing. So, here in this glorious episode 1, I decided to talk about Super Mario 64. And partially it was because of the recent release of Super Mario Odyssey, which I haven't had the chance to play yet. I don't own a Switch myself yet, and I haven't been to a friend's house that has it yet, and even if I did, wouldn't really have time to sit down and sink into it at this moment. But yeah, it just seemed like kind of a relevant game to kick this series off on. So most people that know me are probably going to assume that I've kind of always been that Nintendo kid, and that's really not true. The only Nintendo system that I owned until the GameCube was a Game Boy Color, not counting the NES that was actually my uncle's, which was the first system that I played. Um, but other than that, I didn't own a Nintendo system myself until the GameCube came out. I actually went and got a Nintendo 64 retroactively after the GameCube came out. Um, Prior to that, my only experiences playing the Nintendo 64 were at my cousin's house who lived next door, and also a friend of mine down the road had a 64. Uh, and that was pretty much the only times I ever played them, other than like at a couple other friends' like birthday parties and stuff. But no, during that generation, I had a PlayStation 1, which was the first console, not handheld, that I actually owned. And so I kind of regretted it a bit after playing Super Mario 64, honestly, on my cousin's system. I actually remember, like, one day he wasn't home, he was somewhere else, and I went next door to his house and, like, played his game anyway because I just wanted to play it, and he found out later and got really fucking mad at me for about 10 minutes because that's how kids work. And like, I don't know, my family, I'm not very close to most of my family for multiple reasons, but my family in general has always been very close knit. So like, nobody questioned it. Like I just kind of walked in the house and like his dad and his grandparents were there and like they didn't care. They're just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, that's just the way my family is. I don't know. So I'm sure when most people talk about Super Mario 64 in retrospect and um, their experiences with it, I feel like their thoughts usually gravitate to, wow, it was so innovative and it was the first like, big 3D game and like the map upon which every 3D game ever since was like referenced and I mean that stuff's true, but it didn't really do that to me because by the time I played it, I had played other 3D games such as Spyro and basically there were just other games in its vein out by the time that I experienced it. And of course, I still very much recognize its impact and its importance. But I never got that, holy shit, Mario 64, like, experience that is so well documented. And I mean, there's other events in gaming that I've gotten to experience in that way. But I still am kind of jealous that I never got that. But at the same time, I was probably a bit too young at the time. That even if I had played it like, on launch day and had like been as into games as I was, uh, it probably still wouldn't have had quite that effect on me because of my age. But I don't know. Like that's definitely a gaming experience that I didn't get to have that I kind of wish I did. So like oddly, with Mario 64, I think most people when they think Mario 64 like iconic levels, I think their minds tend to gravitate, and correct me if I'm wrong here, maybe you're different, but I think their minds tend to gravitate more towards Bob-omb Battlefield and Thwomp's Fortress. It's really understandable why. Bob-omb Battlefield not only being the first level in the game, but kind of introducing the entire core concept of the game of having these, uh, you know, massive environments with multiple objectives within, and Thwomp's Fortress introducing the verticality of those environments. I think it's very understandable why people do that. But for me, for some reason, and I don't know why, because I fucking hate this level, but Jolly Roger Bay is always the first level that comes to my mind when I think about Mario 64. And I don't know why. It's something about the music and the atmosphere. I don't know. Because I hate it. I hate swimming in it. I hate that stupid eel. I hate everything about the level except for its design and atmosphere and music. And yeah, that's really the only explanation that I have. I know that this wasn't exactly a spectacular start to this series because I don't have a lot of memories with this game that are like extraordinary or like really that fun to tell. Um, but again, just the timing with Super Mario Odyssey, it just seemed like a good game to start on. Um, so I just kind of went with it. And I want to hear your thoughts and your memories as well. If if the game is important to you in your life, I want to hear about it in my comments. I love reading about things like that. So definitely, let me know those things. Um, I'm not gonna say that if you see this to like give me suggestions on games, because you can't really suggest a game that's important to me. A game just kind of has to already be important to me for me to use it here. And there may end up being a few somewhat obscure titles on this list as well. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please subscribe. I don't put out content on like a super regular basis because lots of reasons. My life is, let's not go there, and I just do what I can. I'm working on a Harvest Moon series as well. If you're into those games, you want to check that out. And I hope that you will stick around for more of these. That will potentially be far more entertaining. Bye, guys.